Hello there, back again with a quick follow-up on the little Larva-X. Reviewed this not long ago. I really liked it, thought it flew very well. But a couple of comments said, hey, what about the DVR and the VTX? And I was like, what now? Yeah, I'd completely missed the fact that they didn't exactly go on and on about it. But on the VTX, there are two buttons. One of these switches channels, one of these starts and stops recording. And down here, there is a little SD slot, which I've now put a card in. So the idea being that if we now plug in a battery, got a solid light. It said it should automatically start recording, in which case it gets a blinking red light. But that is solid, so let me try. Oh no, it started now. So it takes a little while to start up. Starts recording automatically with that little flashing, and then if I press this button, that is the stop start button. So it's stopped there. You can start again. Flashes. You can stop again. Easy. So that's it just on the bench, but of course let's go out and try getting some footage and see what it looks like, because of course it should be very clear because we're getting the raw picture from the camera into the DVR before it is transmitted and anything happens to it. So yeah, let's go fly it, see what happens. Okay, got the Larva-X at the field, ready to give it a try using the DVR this time. It's a little bit windier than I'd hoped for, especially with something small like this, which really doesn't want this sort of big breeze coming in. But this is not so much a test of how smooth it is. We've already done this. This is more of a test of, does the DVR record, how's it compared to the onboard goggle footage? So let's check it out. So here's the onboard DVR footage, and I get off to a cracking start here where I just catch something and then air mode tries to compensate and really speeds up, and we end up in this bush. No damage though, unfortunately. It was just in reach, so I got that out. So let's have another go at taking off, and here we are again with the DVR footage. A couple of weird things here, and that's the fact that this comes up with 720p footage. So this is 1280 by 720 in pixels, which I think is above the resolution of the sensor, and so it looks kind of stretched out, which to me looks a little bit weird, a little bit false. But I thought, how can we compare this with the goggle view? If I put the goggle view over the top, you'll see it looks kind of similar, but let's stretch it out, and then if we put half on the goggle view and half on the onboard DVR view, we might get a decent look. And with the two bits of footage lined up, I think you can get much more of an appreciation of what it's doing. Basically, it is taking that 640 by 480 and it's stretching it out, and that makes it look a bit strange. But when I stretch out my DVR from the goggles, it pretty much looks in line with what we've got there. So yeah, this records at 30 frames a second. That's both the goggles and this inbuilt DVR. But what you can see, of course, is you don't get the little noise and bits of static from the goggle DVR on the onboard stuff. You also don't get the OSD overlay, I noticed. So I wasn't sure how it's going to work. I thought it might be recording it before it transmits it on the VTX, but it actually records it before it goes into the flight controller. So let's get rid of the goggle DVR, because that's not really helping us see what we're doing. So what can we say about this DVR? Well, it's pretty much identical to the little DVR boards that were vaguely popular about a year or so ago. Little tiny inbuilt DVRs that you could sort of plug into your VTX or camera, and it would record on the quad or whatever itself, so you wouldn't get all that static. And you really notice the difference if you were trying to sort of show people you flying through trees and stuff, and you couldn't put any sort of HD camera on, which is kind of the case with a tiny quad like this. You can't really carry anything big. So doing this is kind of the best sort of footage you'll be able to get from it, from showing people. I mean, it's not ideal because obviously it's a low resolution image that's been stretched out. And in this case, we're certainly subject to that wind. You can see we've got some jello in the footage there. But if you look back over the review I did where I was in more sheltered conditions, you'll find that we had some pretty nice footage from this, and we could definitely get some better footage on a more windless day or a sheltered day using this little DVR. So from my point of view, I just missed the fact completely this has a DVR. So I'm looking at this thing thinking, brilliant, I've got this DVR for free, that's awesome. Of course, if you did notice it had one, and that was one of the main reasons you were going for it, then it's important to know what the limitations
are of it, and that's essentially you've still got the same 640 by 480 picture at 30 frames a second. The only difference is you're getting it clean without any static, without any noise. But you know, if you put it on YouTube, you're going to have to stretch it out, and so you don't get the same quality as HD, obviously. As long as that's understood, I think is a neat little thing to have in a tiny quad like this, and certainly fantastic for when you're going around places where you've got a lot of static and stuff like that. This was already a great little quad. This has just put the icing on the cake for it for me. Hope that's been helpful, and I'll catch you in the next video. Bye for now. Well, you've made it to the end of the video, so thanks once again for watching. If you like what you saw, then please consider subscribing, and if you really like what you saw, then be sure to check out the link to my blog for a variety of ways in which you can help support this channel.